everyone, my name is Allie and I just wanted to welcome you to my channel. This is my very first YouTube video and I'm very excited to get to share it with you. Today I want to share with you my vestibular migraine journey thus far because it's not done yet. I'm still currently on it. But before I begin, I wanted to define what vestibular migraine is, and it's a neurological disorder that causes repeated dizziness and vertigo. If you don't know what vertigo is, it's the sensation of spinning, things around you can spin, or you can feel inwardly that you're spinning. And it can happen with people who have a history of migraine, or it can happen because of an illness or a trauma to the head, that sort of thing. It's not unlike traditional migraines, it doesn't always have a headache. So sometimes it's called a silent migraine because there's no head pain. So basically, I have been spinning for almost 2 years. So you can imagine what kind of carnival ride that must be like. One that you can't ever get off of, which is so fun. As I digress, I wanted to talk about when it first started and where I am now. So I hope that my journey kind of gives you some hope, because a lot of people need hope when they have this type of disorder, and it sucks, but I think there's power in sharing it because we just, need some encouragement from time to time. So, my first symptoms started in March of 2019. So I guess we're coming up on 2 years of this. I was 24. I had only been married not very long, for about 9 months, and I was also in my third year of teaching. So you can imagine all of that happening all at once, and on top of vestibular migraine too. So after a week of feeling off, I had been struggling with without my allergies, or I was getting a flu or a cold, and it was during this retreat that my husband and I went on, and I call that my last normal weekend because it really was. And as after coming off of that weekend, I just slowly progressed to have hazy vision. Things are slightly moving around. I felt like I was walking on marshmallows sometimes, but I just kind of chalked it up to being, overly tired. I knew that something was wrong, but I just didn't know what it was, and I didn't know if people would believe me either. So that following weekend, I told my husband that my body did not feel right, and that I either needed to go to urgent care or the ER because we needed some answers about what was going on. So we ended up going to urgent care, and the doctor there basically told me that what I was feeling was what she thought to be was BPPV, and so that's benign positional proximal vertigo. I think I said that right, might not have, but she told me there's nothing to worry about with it, and to just take this sheet that had this maneuver called the Epley maneuver and do it at home, and that I would be fine. But that didn't answer my question of was I going to be able to work the next day? Was I going to be able to drive? How long did it take it to go, for this all to go away? And instead she just sent me this paper and was go on your way, whatever. So I went home, did that, I was very confused, felt like junk, and I decided I was going to get up and go to work the next morning. And when I got up, my world was literally turned upside down. I just fell to a heap on the floor. Everything was moving around me. I felt like I was in this fun house that I couldn't get out of. I remember grabbing onto the bed for dear life because I was just like, felt like I was just falling and falling, and I couldn't like stop falling. And my husband at first didn't realize what was going on. He was just like, oh, well, whatever, you're fine. And I was just like, no, I'm not fine. Like, I need help. And he came and he helped me. And we ended up getting in to see my GP that day, thankfully, so we didn't have to go to the ER. But I had to be wheeled into the doctor's office in a wheelchair because I could not walk. My motion sickness was so bad. I had never had motion sickness before in my life. Like, I was a girl who could get on those roller coasters that like do loop-de-loops and go upside down, and ride those 5 or 6 times before I even thought about maybe being nauseous. So this is new to me, that even riding in a car would trigger those feelings and symptoms of just wanting to throw up. So I did end up throwing up in the waiting room. So that was, very embarrassing, so to speak. But they did finally get me back there, and my GP was awesome. She diagnosed me with labyrinthitis, so an inner ear infection, because my ears are very, very inflamed, and said that she was going to send me to VRT, which is vestibular rehabilitation therapy, so that my brain would learn to compensate for the dizziness I was experiencing, so I would be able to walk and do all the normal things that you do and learn how to regain my balance. And she also gave me meclizine to help with the spinning and the vertigo. And I was also put on steroids to take because my ears were so inflamed. I did go to vestibular rehabilitation therapy for about 2-ish months. And I did progress slowly, and I still have issues too after going through VRT. Oh, I guess during that, I didn't say this, but after getting diagnosed with labyrinthitis, I ultimately ended up having to resign from my teaching position because I couldn't drive and I couldn't function like a normal human being. So that was pretty sad, but it needed to be done. I was pretty much the teacher who was there, and then poof, I was gone. Nobody knew what happened, except for people who actually asked me, but that's besides the point. So I did do VRT for 2-ish months. I got better. I did some exercises. I was released in at the end of May from VRT. And so actually June and July were probably some of my best months after getting sick. I was walking, I was going outside, I was going to the pool. I almost felt like I was normal again. But once August came, I was back to square one again, and I didn't know what to do. I still wasn't working because if you can't get up and get ready and be reliable and consistent, there's no way you're gonna hold down a job. So I went back to my GP. We talked about preventatives and how she thought it might be vestibular migraine, but she wanted me to go see an ENT first, so an ear, nose, and throat doctor, which took a few months to get into because nothing moves fast in the medical community at all, which is annoying because when you're going through all of these symptoms 24/7, and then somebody says, oh, you should go see somebody, a specialist, you're like, woohoo, I'm gonna go see a specialist, maybe they can help me. And then it's oh, you got 2-3 month wait, and it's just really annoying. So it took me a few months to get in to see the ENT. So I finally went in and saw the ENT, And he thought that I didn't have labyrinthitis, but that this started as vestibular neuritis, which had now morphed into vestibular migraine. But he needed me to go through a series of tests in order to rule out whether I had vestibular neuritis or I had vestibular migraine, to see if I had a weakness in my ear. So I went through balance testing. Of course, that was another month to wait to go. I did balance testing, and the caloric testing, which is where they put like either warm water or cold water in your ear, or warm and cold air in your ear. I had the air. The VNG, which is like some funky like VR goggles where they watch your eyes and you like have to look at different patterns and stuff. And they also did like different types of balance testing. They did like where I had to stand on a piece of foam and like balance with my eyes open, eyes closed, that sort of thing. And I also had a hearing test too, and all of those results came back normal. And it was super, super frustrating. I thought I was so close to like actually getting a diagnosis and getting the right kind of like treatment and help, but I was like so far away as well. So then I was told, well, it's probably vestibular migraine from the ENT, so I'm going to refer you back to your GP. So I went back to my GP, and so we decided to start on a preventative and a rescue medication. And I tried that for about 6 months? Yeah, maybe 6 months. And I came back and it just like wasn't working. And she's like, I pulled all the tricks I have out of my bag. You need to go see a neurologist. And I mean, throughout this period of time, like I had been on Google, Googling like what is vestibular migraine, what is resources, and some resources I can use. And I ended up stumbling upon the Dizzy Cook. Alicia Wolf runs that food blog and website, and her story was a lot like mine, and so I read a lot of her stuff, and she talked a lot about her neurologist, Dr. Beh, who happens to be a unexplained dizziness, vertigo expert, and works well with vestibular migraine patients. And since that was the path that we were going on, I called up my GP and I said, if I'm going to go see a neurologist, I want to go see this guy. I want to go see Dr. Beh. I don't care that he is out of state. I want to go see him. If he can help me, we're going to do it. So I got referred to him, and at this point, it was like fall of 2020, and I was now 26, so almost 2 years had passed, like a year and a half at this point, and I called and called and called because he usually has a waiting list of like 6 months. So I called every day to see if there was a cancellation, and right when I was about to give up, they called me back and said, hey, we have cancellation. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, I want to go see, I want this appointment. And so I got to see him, and Dr. Beh validated every feeling that I was having, every symptom I was having, and he was just overall like awesome. Like I cannot say enough good things about him. And he officially diagnosed me with vestibular migraine. And now that we know that it's officially vestibular migraine, like I'm now able to get the treatment that I need. I had gone a year and a half without anybody suggesting maybe I should have a brain MRI. So that was one of the first things that Dr. Beh suggested. So I did get a brain MRI. Everything came back normal. He then started me on another preventative, a nortriptyline. I did that for 3 months. I didn't have a ton of improvement. So 3 months later, I'm in February. I'm now on like a new treatment plan. I'm trying a Jovi as a preventative. It's a once a month shot, and it's geared towards migraine, and a new rescue med. So that's where I'm at in my journey. I'm also trying to do the Heal Your Headache diet as well to find my triggers, and through eliminating certain foods. But I guess that's pretty much where I'm at. I'd say I'm more functional now than I was. I'm so grateful now, looking back to the point where I couldn't walk, that now I can walk. I just take the little things and I'm grateful for them, because they can be taken away just as easily as you have them. So for those of you out there who are on your vestibular migraine journey or your vestibular something journey, I just want to tell you that there is hope. I know it may not seem like there is hope right now, but there really is in the end run. You just gotta look for that little light at the end of the tunnel. And finding a treatment plan is a lot of trial and error. So don't be discouraged if something doesn't work for you when it works for a ton of other people, because I'm kind of in the same boat. So we're in this together. We're here to support each other, and I also want you to know that you're not alone in all of this. Some resources that really helped me was the dizzycook.com, and I'll link them in the description. Veda, they have awesome resources about any vestibular disorder you can think of. They're really great help. And also, if you have vestibular migraine, Dr. Beh did write a book called Victory Over Vestibular Migraine that I'd encourage you to read. And so all those 3 things I'll link in the description below, just as resources for you to use. So I hope that you enjoyed my rambly story, but I hope that I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.